What's up, my music notes? I like that one. We're gonna go with that. What's up, my music notes? How's it going? Today I have a PSA video for you, and dang it is super windy out here in Southern California. But anyway, today is a PSA, and I can't stress this enough because I feel really bad for one of my viewers right now, and a couple other of my viewers that have been going through this issue. Do not use samples. And I want to make that clear. So some of you may already know because you've been doing this for a while, but for those of you that are new, who started 2018, 2019, or who have recently just started out, you're getting into music, and that's great. And I want to point out some very key things. When you see people taking samples, like DJs, for example, who have their drum pad and they're hitting the buttons and they're playing different songs, and they're splitting up different samples and stuff from different audio. They're not releasing that as their own music with their name. Sounds cool. They're doing it because it's cool. It's fun. It's music. There's a lot of joy to be had in music. But when you start releasing music for profit, you cannot release that type of sound as your own, because that music has a copyright. It has protection. So getting into this a little bit further, when you're thinking about releasing music, the reason why all distributors say do not use either copywritten samples or royalty-free samples, or samples of anything, even someone's voice, unless you have the permission to use it yourself, is because of the fact that when you use this music, and I'll give an example that I just put on my TikTok. If you use a royalty-free sample, like from anywhere, like what you may see over here in the search engine, royalty-free sample packs, right? Or just royalty-free samples, or you see something like a commercial or a trailer, or let's say you download something from a YouTube video where it was like, check out our free sounds or something like that. The fact that they have it on their YouTube means that they already have the content ID. Now, there are ways to use that sound without getting in trouble by your distributor, but that's because you have to contact people. So whoever made those samples, you need to contact them and get their permission. And if they say, hey, you don't need our permission, it's royalty free, just use it however you want, they're expecting you to use it for personal use, not for business, not for profit. So if you tell them, hey, I'm using this for profit, I want to make money off this, I want to use this as my song, I want to release this in my album, then they have to give you special permission to do that. Okay? They have to give you like a written letter or document that says that. And the reason why is because they already have a content ID, or someone else took that same sample or a piece of that sample and already used it. Okay, so then what happens is, as a distributor, let's use 1RPM as an example. 1RPM will take that music, scan it, listen to it. What they're doing is they're going to run it through a system first, where that system checks everything online to see if there's a similarity. If some content ID pops up where that sample has been used by someone else already, let's say, and it's already in their album, they used it as it was, it's going to flag immediately. That flag is going to tell 1RPM that you're using stolen music, or that you're trying to steal someone else's music. One or the other. They don't know you, they don't know your situation, but that's what that flag tells them. The red flag tells them that you're using someone else's music without their permission, and you're trying to steal their music. You're trying to make money off of someone else's sound. So what then happens is 1RPM will then reject your music. You have to contact them and go, hey, support, I see that my music got rejected. Can I get more information on what happened? They will send you a message saying, we found that copywritten music was used, copywritten sound or samples were found, something was flagged in your music, and we cannot upload your music. We are going to terminate your release, right? I'm going to terminate your album or your single, right? And you may freak out and go, oh my God, what the heck is going on? Don't freak out, okay? They're just letting you know that someone else has that sound registered, and they're protecting you from a lawsuit. That's how it works. Okay, so what you can do from that point on is you either need to contact the people that you got those samples from and go, hey, like I said before, hey, I want to use this for my album. I have a track that I'm making. I want to release that album officially. Can I get written permission? If they give you written permission, go with it. But don't try to release that song and you just sent them an email going, hey, can I use your song? And they never reply. Then no, you still don't have permission to use it. So, if that's something that you're doing, that you're working with, you like sampling other people's sounds like we used to in the 90s, not me because I'm not that old, then you're going to be waiting a long time for releases. And the same goes for if you're using like beats from, let's say, BeatStars. If you're using a beat from BeatStars, you need that contract that you have with that songwriter that made that beat to prove to distributors that, hey, you're gonna hear this track in other places. I bought this song for this amount of time, or the song is mine now, right? This track is mine. So you have to prove to them that, hey, I have this contract, it's for this amount of time, blah, 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 or, it's mine now. So that way they don't flag it, because YouTube will flag it too if you try to release it on YouTube. They'll flag it and go, hey, this belongs to this person, or hey, this belongs to this person. Like stuff like that will happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen every time, but that's something that will happen. So that's something you need to keep in mind. It's the same thing that goes for images. A lot of you guys don't know that images are also like that too. Do not use royalty-free or stockroom photos. Do not use that stuff, because that stuff has already been used by someone else. It already has a tag on it. So as far as content goes, just like music, it has an ID tag on it to where when it's used online, it's flagged. Okay, because I'll tell you an example that happened to someone. So there was this content creator on YouTube that was using free images. So in her intro to her videos, there was a clip of a stock photo that was like maybe half a second. You would see it would flash by and gone, right? The person who uploaded that photo wanted people to stop using their images. So what they did was, instead of, putting do not use image or on it or whatever, this has been a couple years since this girl had been using this intro, they put out a cease and desist on everyone who had their image. So when that image flagged on YouTube, this person's account almost got taken down because they had been using that image in their intro video for like 2 years. Yeah. So they almost lost everything. Like they had to work out an agreement with the person who took that stock photo, because they were a photographer, and they had to remove it and redo all their videos, re-upload all their videos with a different intro and re-edit, and that took a lot of time. But that can happen. Same thing can happen with royalty-free music. If you see music on YouTube, let's say you just don't want to fill in a spot. I'm just going to throw out a random example. Let's say you don't want to fill in a spot, right? And you want to use some royalty-free song from YouTube or something for your video as a placeholder or something, or just like a segue. That too can get flagged. Why? Because YouTube doesn't own their royalty-free library. So for them, they're using borrowed music. Someone, and this happened to someone very big in the content creating world. His name is Maximilian Dude. You can look him up. He almost lost everything. He was using royalty-free music from YouTube, the royalty-safe music that you're allowed to use. Well, a company came in and bought that library and then started charging for it and put a copyright on all that music. So because they bought the library that YouTube was using for royalty-safe music for your videos, got bought and now has copyrights on them, and now everybody's getting flagged. And for him, a lot of his music, I think, had he been using that library for like 4 or 5 years, I think, at that time. And so even he almost lost everything. This is why you don't use use the free stuff because you don't know what's going to happen to it. You don't know if someone's going to buy it out. You don't know if someone's going to put a cease and desist order on it. You don't know if somebody's going to copyright it. You always need that documentation. Even the song that I'm playing right now in the background, this is my song. The singer that I used for this song died to COVID. Okay, but when I uploaded this song, I had to have legal documentation that she gave me permission to use her vocals. Okay, which sucks, right? Like, I made the song, I found the vocalist online. Took me freaking months to find somebody, especially in Los Angeles, but it took me forever to find somebody to do the vocals the way that I wanted for this song. And they were like, rejected. I was like, what do you mean rejected? And they were like, how do we know this isn't a sample that you stole from someone else? I was like, no, I have the musician. I have the vocalist. She's here. Like, we worked together on this song. She doesn't want any credit for it. That's her thing. She just wanted to just have her voice out there. So I had to get her to write me a letter with her name, with her ID, with all that. And I had to send it in to my distributor for this song to be uploaded. That's how serious they are about this stuff. You can't just, like in the 90s, just rip samples and stuff from music and think it's okay. It's not. So protect yourself, inform yourself, get more knowledge on how the industry works, because if you're new and just starting out, this is something that people don't tell you. They don't tell you that you can't use samples. They don't tell you that you can't use music from other people and upload it, because I'll give an example. There was a royalty-free sample that was used in a Beyonce song, and I used that sample a long time ago, like back on like the MySpace days, when I was just starting out making my own music. So I heard this sound, I used it in a song, cool. And then years later, I hear that same song in a Beyonce song. I'm like, they used that royalty-free sample. And I started to think about it, and I was like, is it because they're big named? And a bunch of other people have done this, even Missy Elliott. They have, I don't know if they know, but whoever's making the music for them, the way it works is, even if they use it, it's not like it's going to be waived just because they're a big name artist. What happens is, if you make music with a sample, or even let's say I'm the beat maker, I use a sample that's royalty free, or even that has a royalty on it, but this artist really likes it, so they buy it off of me. All right. Before they can use it, their label has to then do background research on all the sounds that I used. So if the sample that I used in the beat comes up flagged, they then have to pay a fee to allow it to go through. So they either have to contact the person who made that sample and pay them for it, or they have to there's a document, I forgot what it's called. There's a contract document that like waives you of I forgot. Anyway, but it just pretty much allows you to use that sample, and a portion of the royalties go to whoever created that sample, or they don't get any royalties because there's no proof of how you can find out who made the sample. That's how things can work. So with that, that's how it goes. The label takes care of everything, because the label is the financial backing to what you're doing. So when the label does all the research, they take care of all the royalty issues, all the samples, they take care of everything that needs to happen, and the music goes out, no problem. So if you're wondering why big name artists can use samples and get away with it and it's okay, it's not okay, but the label is protecting them by paying them money to deal with those samples. And it's the same thing if you use music from BeatStars. If you watch their videos from the creator, I forgot his name, just that quick. But even he will tell you that in his seminar, if the beat maker uses samples, it's not their problem to get permission for those beats. They're just selling the beat. That's not their responsibility. It's you as the person buying the beat's responsibility to get the permission to use those samples afterward, after you buy that beat off somebody, which I think is kind of janky, but that's how the industry works. So for all of you, and I know it's been 15 minutes, sorry. For all of you that are new and that are thinking about using samples, just don't do it. If you have a particular sound in your head that you're trying to get out and be heard, look up YouTube videos on how to create the sound. Or if it's particular chords that you hear, where you're hearing a certain chord sound and it's jazz related, look up jazz chords. Play it yourself. You know, like, do everything yourself. That way, there's no content ID flag when you play it. Now, if they in turn go, okay, we see that this sounds similar to this, which has happened to me before. This chord progression sounds the same as this other chord progression. You can say, well, yeah, it's a basic jazz chord. You know, it's the 255 or the 251. It's just that way. Because they know that there's only a certain amount of sounds you can make that we can hear. You know, there's only a certain number of keys on a keyboard that make a particular sound. So, you know, they're not going to stress you out. But if it's something very particular, you know, or if it sounds like a recording that someone already has protected, don't use it. You know, or you're going to have to prove that you created it yourself. So that's enough for this. Just be careful using free stuff. Be careful downloading free stuff. You know, like it's always a risk, and you don't want to go to court for it. You don't want to have all your stuff removed. You don't want to have all your stuff rejected. Like this girl, I feel so sorry for her, and I feel so bad for all the people who've been contacting me about those issues. But if your distributor flags your music and sends you something scary, don't panic. Don't panic. Just contact your distributor's support team. Ask them what you can do. Ask them how you can fix the problem. Ask them for more details. Ask them questions. Don't be afraid to ask the distributor questions. I'm gonna do a whole nother video on this topic where I'm leading this into, but don't be afraid to ask your distributor to help you, because they know more information than you do about the industry. They have their legal team. So ask them questions and they'll respond to you with those answers, because they're legal answers. They have to know this stuff. They have to know about music and the music industry. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business, right? All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope this answered a lot of your questions. I hope this gave you some insight, some information into the music industry. And, you know, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and check out that next video, which is going to be some more tips for you guys about your distributors. All right? Peace.